Hello and welcome to this video about what were we doing before spring break, the 6th grade Blue Edition. So before spring break, we were talking about transformations in the coordinate plane. So what I have here is a picture of our coordinate plane. And what we were doing is taking a point or a series of points and performing several different types of transformations. And we had three that we were really focused on. We had translations, there we go. Which is simply where we take the shape and we are moving it up, down, left, right, and some sort of combination of that. And so we'll do an example of that in a minute. We had reflections. And finally, we had rotations. And each one of these sort of had a little basic rule or some sort of hack that went with it. So the translations was by far, I think, the easiest one, where you might see something like, we're going to take our point and it's going to be equal to, and then you get the x coordinate, and let's go with like plus 5, and then our y coordinate minus 4, something like that. And so what this is telling me is that I'm going to take this point and I'm moving it to the right 5 units this way, and I'm going to take that point and I'm going to drop it down 4 units that way. And so for my translation here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then what I would do is I would say A with a little apostrophe above it. There it is. That's my translation. Now, for reflection, we have a couple of different things going on here. We could reflect over the x-axis or over the y-axis. And the rule is that the numbers, the positioning of the numbers stay the same, but the signs change. And here's where it got weird, is that what we'll do is we'll stick with our, so if we're reflecting over the x-axis, our x stays the same, but we change the sign on the y. And if we reflect over the y-axis, our x changes sign, but our y remains the same. So for example, let's say that we're going to reflect our point over the x-axis. So that means I'm reflecting it over this point, over this axis, and so it's going to be folded over there. Well, I keep the numbers the same. It's going to be 6 negative, or it's going to be, I'll keep, sorry, one second here. I'm going to keep the numbers the same. So I'll have 6, I'll have 3. But now I got to think here, if I'm reflecting over the x-axis, the x stays completely the same. So I'll stay negative 6, but my y sign has to change. So now it's going to become negative 6, negative 3, which would be right there. And so let's call that one, let's put 2 apostrophes up there for that one. Now, if we were to reflect over the y-axis, it would then go over this way, and here the y stays the same, so I'll still have 3, so 1, 2, 3, but now my sign changes from being negative 6 to being positive 6, so 6, 3, and we'll call that our third translation. Finally, we have our rotations, and so rotations a little more complicated. We have 2 cases for these. We have our 90 degrees or our 270 degrees. And if this is the case, what we do is we take our xy's and we're going to swap the places and have a sign change, meaning that one of them needs to become negative, or we'll have to change its sign, which a negative could become a positive or a positive could become a negative. Now, as for which one changes, it depends on where it starts with the rotation and where it's rotating to. If we're doing a 180 degree rotation, so 180 degrees. What's just going to happen is we'll keep our numbers the same, but here we do a straight up sign change. So we'll have negative x, comma, negative y. Negative y. There we go. So let's show, first of all, a 180 degree rotation. So let's see here, if we're starting with this and we were going to do a 180 degree rotation, we start off with negative 6, comma 3. That's just going to become positive 6, comma negative 3. So positive 6, negative 3 right there. And so that is our 180 degree rotation of point A. if we were to do a 90-degree, and remember, you guys keep in mind which way we're going. Let's go clockwise rotation. The signs change. So we're going to go from -6, 3. Again, this is for a 90-degree clockwise rotation. We'll have 3, 6. But now let's think about this. It's rotating this way. All the x's and all the y's are positive. So the one that's changing is going to be this one. Or, that number will switch from being -6 to +6. We rotate it. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 6. There we go. There's our 90-degree clockwise rotation. So hopefully this has been a nice little refresher for what it is we did before break. Again, some of these have some rules and patterns. We even had little hand gestures. But I think the hardest one would be the rotation, because there is some thinking on your feet. You got to think about the sign change depending on where it starts and where it's going.